All right, y'all. White Americans react on Indiana power outage that left families struggling. Now, I know it's Monday and y'all know the deal by now. Here come begging as well, bro. Come on, man. Y'all know I need that with his begging ass.
We need to talk about Gary, Indiana, because the mainstream media isn't, and they've been without electricity for 2 weeks after storms.
I cannot believe no one is over here helping Gary.
Thousands of people in Gary, Indiana have been without power since August 11th.
Stop scrolling because residents in Northwest Indiana have now been without power for more than 9 days. They are in survival mode, and unfortunately, not enough people are talking about it.
That's because they're black. Gary, Indiana, that's a black city. A lot of poor black people, a lot of black people in general in the country just don't give a shit about black people. They never have. They never have, man. You know what they say? When Manhattan catches the cold, Harlem catches the flu. We can go ahead on and say that about Indiana now. Gary caught the flu.
Welcome to the fucking news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and in the United States, over 40,000 people are still without power in Indiana after that derecho I reported 10 fucking days ago.
Americans are starting to realize that America is the shithole country that they call other countries, and that they're closer to living life like them than the oligarchs that are destroying the fucking world. Gary, Indiana, no water cleaning plant right now, as well as no power. It's almost like they're living in the same conditions as, let's say, Cuba, Yemen, so many other places. And this isn't to put their situation lightly because there's a blockade, but America is the shithole country.
Well, they are suppressing any information that's coming out about what's going on here in Indiana, especially Northwest Indiana, with our power and the flooding that's going on.
Gary, Indiana, the United States government abandoning people of color during a disaster, a predominantly black community being left without power. The state's investments in Israeli bonds, announcing $120 million invested in Israeli bonds instead of building strong infrastructure. We've heard it before, so let's see what's happening in Gary, Indiana.
And I think I'm going insane. My name's Aja, and I'm still in the dark.
10, no power.
Something very sinister is going on in Gary, Indiana.
As many of you already know, Gary, Indiana is suffering without power for over a week now, to the point where they're removing food out of their grocery stores.
Gary, Indiana has been without consistent electricity and power for nearly 2 weeks. It's also worth noting that currently 8 data centers in the area are straining the town's power grid.
Wow, now that pisses me off, man. They should burn those data centers down to the ground. I'm telling you, man, like what they gonna do? You ain't got nothing to lose. Now everybody just go set them on fire at this point, bro. Prove these people wrong and tell them, listen, you're not welcome here. Straight up, dog. They always messing over black people, man. Historically, they have always done this. I'll give y'all a quick little story, bro. I'm gonna keep it short. Did y'all know in 1943, Detroit, Michigan had a race riot? And it basically stemmed from 3 people getting a job. 3 black people getting a job. That pissed off about 20,000 white workers. What the hell are you promoting black people for? And then at the same time, black people was making a lot of money, even more than white people, and still couldn't get a house because they had racial covenants that said you can't sell to black people. There's always something holding black people back, and then they gaslight you and act like it didn't happen. And one more story. The River Rouge factory, a Ford factory in Detroit. You know how you got white people today saying these illegals are doing this, that, and the third, and need to be properly documented and all that kind of stuff if they want to call themselves America and live in America? Did you know that they had white immigrants at the Ford plant who, whenever the immigration officers would show up, had to hide in utility rooms until they left? And when the officers left, they got back to work. Italian immigrants, German immigrants. Yeah, they was undocumented. Go look that up. But they were the same people who could go and buy properties. But the black people who worked on side them couldn't. They ain't never gave black people a fair shake in this country, bro.
Lives are at risk, essential medical equipment is going without power, senior citizens are particularly vulnerable, and data centers are still running. The administration has failed to meaningfully respond to the emergency, and many activists have pointed out that it could be because the town is 77% black. And beyond the administration, this doesn't seem to be making national news in the way that it probably should be. Right now, we are sacrificing an entire community's safety and well-being at the altar of data centers. And this should be making national news every single day until it's addressed.
Did you know that right now in Indiana, there are over 83,000 homes and buildings without power? They have not had power for a week. It's like, I think 27,000 homes in Gary, Indiana alone, or 76% of Gary, Indiana, currently has no power. The majority of Lake County, Indiana, currently has no power. They haven't had power for a week, and they're not anticipated to have power for at least another week.
While y'all are talking about Natalie Harp over and over again, Gary, Indiana has been without power for 10 days now. They lost power due to deadly and dangerous storms back on August 11th. It is now the 21st of August, and the people of Northwest Indiana do not have electricity. They do not have reliable water filtration. People are freaking trapped. They are relying on charity, the Salvation Army, community groups to bring them hot meals, and nobody in the media is covering it. This would be wall-to-wall coverage. I mean, nonstop. CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News would have people on the ground there going, where's the government? Where's the aid? No one's doing it. Why is that? Why? I'm so glad you asked, because Gary, Indiana in particular is predominantly
black.
That's right. That's right. A black and brown populated town. It's actually the town where the Jacksons are from. You know, Michael Jackson, Janet, Tito, all of them. But 10 days, they've been without power and electricity, and no one seems to care in the United States except for people on the internet.
And the sad part about it is that, bro, many of these people are sick. Many of these people are elderly and young. Young and old people can't just be in the heat like that, bro. You have heat strokes. People are sick. People who have insulin medication needs refrigeration to keep it viable. There's other medicines that you need that have to be refrigerated. People are using generators. Carbon monoxide pollution can be a factor. Food poisoning, because you have to have food, you know, at a certain temperature. And if you get hungry enough, you may take a risk and eat something that you're not supposed to eat, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's dangerous out there because people are going to start looting. When you take away hope, when you take away people's ability to earn and feed themselves and just make everybody agitated because you get hot, you get irritable real quick. It's a recipe for disaster, and these people don't care, bro. And I'm speaking passionately about this because, man, you know, this New Orleans, bro, we done went through this time and time again. I know what it's like when the lights is out, when you hear gunshots and stuff. People are walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? They done taken up arms, bro. You see a bunch of people walking down your street with guns, you just hoping that they ain't trying to come mess with you and yours. Bro, y'all just don't know. I'm telling you, bro. It's wild.
It has been 2 weeks since Gary, Indiana last had power, and the mainstream media has yet to give the area the coverage that it deserves. Maybe it's because of the 8 data centers that are being built in Gary that are straining the power centers, and maybe those people building those data centers also help fund certain news stations. That in and of itself shows a conflict of interest, and that in and of itself is the reason why people are going hungry in Gary, Indiana.
So you mean to tell me that the people who are closely associated with the same kinship as Benjamin Netanyahu are the ones who control the propaganda machine? So we don't want that bad information being put out. But you know what's interesting about that? That same group of people made sure we heard the story of people like Anne Frank so that we could sympathize with them. Everything that they do is strategic, bro.
Place that is starting to look more like a third world country because we can't get our act together. Not to mention that FEMA money is probably not going to go to the area since FEMA is being dismantled from the inside at the highest of levels. People are having a difficult time getting food, and that is a disaster. So share this video to help spread the word that Gary, Indiana needs our help, and follow me to stay in the loop.
Somebody need to send this to the black conservatives who say that there isn't systematic racism in this country. This right here is a great example of systematic racism. People hate black people. They don't want to see us make it.
Look at this, bitch. Everyone's like, oh, how dark is it? How dark is it in Gary, Indiana, right? This is how dark it is. This is a fucking residential street. That's crazy.
If you don't know what's going on in Gary, Indiana, I'm going to fill you in on this video. So on the 11th of August, there was a storm. Not just Gary, Indiana, but other surrounding towns were affected. Everyone has got their electric back apart from Gary. They are now on 12 days of no electricity. People are running out of food because their food has been spoiled. The supermarkets are empty. Only a few people have generators. People have been told to boil the water that they drink, and they're showering in this water. Now they're coming out and saying, when the electric comes back, make sure you get yourself tested. Things are getting desperate and things are getting scary. Can you imagine being in the dark when people have no food, no resources? It's going to bring out the worst in people. Yet this could have been solved. And now they're saying the electric will not be available until the 25th of August, which is Tuesday. That's still 3 days away.
And guys, at the time of this recording is Monday, August 24th.
But things start to make sense when you look into it deeper. There are 130 functioning and proposed data centers in this area. The natural habitat of the trees have been destroyed, which offers less protection against storms. There's some stuff about the soil that I need to look into. Blackstone has brought out 20% of the local energy company, and the residents in Gary, Indiana are paying through their nose for the energy suppliers, while these massive organizations and data centers are getting away with paying absolutely zilch, even though they are driving up the cost of the electricity. On top of that, the mayor of Gary has invested, I believe it's £15 million in Israel, and there might possibly be a head office for an Israeli company being built in Gary. I don't know if you're realizing that there is something sinister. I feel like they're destroying the black community in Gary.
They are.
It's not just about the 12 days without the electricity. It's the long-term impact. What's in the water? What's happening with the data centers? Why is Gary being targeted? This is something serious that we all need to look at. If we're pro-Palestinian, if we're from the black community, if we're allies, we need to open our eyes and understand what's happening in Gary is happening in other places too.
Low key, bro, I suggest that Gary, Indiana just segregate again, bro. Straight up. You ain't got nothing to lose at this point. Them people ain't coming to help you. Help yourselves, man. You know, set up everything. They got enough talent who came from Gary, Indiana. Everybody decided to help each other out, and we going to be our own community. And we deal with the outside when we see fit, you know, set up trade and commerce. We trade what we need, whatever they want from us. You know, we set up but then that wouldn't work either, because whenever people did do that, they came and destroyed it. Tulsa, Oklahoma, Lake Lanier. It wouldn't work, bro. Even if you do lift your own self up by your bootstraps, then people gonna come and destroy it no matter what. That's what they do. But shit, they showing you right now they don't give a damn about you. You might as well just separate.
Other places too. There is an agenda behind this.
Okay, so we were able to get an Uber, and we are just going to abandon our car and get home and figure it out later.
Damaging storms came through Gary, Indiana last week, and over 22,000 people still do not have electricity in the Midwest in the middle of August. And get this, it's not expected to be restored until August 25th. And here's the part we can't ignore. The city of Gary, Indiana has been disinvested in for decades, and it's a predominantly black community.
Systemic racism, all by design, just like what you see happened in Detroit. At one point in time, black men in Detroit were making more money than white people, period, by like $70. And those people still couldn't prosper, even though they was making more than anybody else. It's a system, dog. They gonna deindustrialize everything, take away a man's ability to feed himself and his family, and then expect him to thrive, and then gaslight him when they tell him, you know, when they say that, look, it's your fault while we're doing this. No, it's your own fault. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps. All that kind of dumb shit in the rhetoric you hear. This video pissing me off, bro. I'm sorry.
76% of residents are black. 1 in 3 people living in Gary, Indiana live below the federal poverty line. People have lost all of their refrigerated food. Schools have been closed. Businesses have been closed, leading to more economic impact, and even their food bank lost power. One resident told media that Gary is left behind. It's always on the bottom of the totem pole to get anything done. I want to be clear, this storm created some major infrastructure damage. However, in any other city in the United States, electricity being off for hours after any storm is considered an emergency. Gary, Indiana has been the center of disinvestment for the state for decades, and the response to this emergency deserves more scrutiny.
And you know what's interesting, dog? He was like any other city, man. I could think of a lot of cities around the country who are similar to a Gary, Indiana. I was born in Jackson, Mississippi, born there, but I was raised in New Orleans. Jackson is probably percentage-wise the blackest city in the country, not population size-wise, because Detroit gonna take that, but percentage-wise, I think it's Jackson, Mississippi. If something like this happened in the Jackson, I would expect the same outcome. Who gonna come and save all those black people in a poor-ass state like Mississippi? The only reason why New Orleans kind of has something going for itself and why when we get a storm or something like that, we get things done is because we have a large population of white people here. If all the white people left and there was nothing but blacks here, they wouldn't come and help us. I know that for a fact. It's them people in Lakeview, Lake Vista, certain parts of the Garden District. You think about Metairie, Old Metairie. Those people are the ones who are bringing in the help. And then, you know, by default, we kind of get some of it because we're so close. The hood, I ain't gonna say the hood, but, you know, in New Orleans, man, you cross the street and you're in a predominantly white neighborhood all of a sudden. Literally. So if their power is getting fixed, ours going to get fixed right after. But they're definitely going to allocate those funds to them white folks before they do it to us. And I've seen it firsthand.
Imagine in this moment that your power went out right now. Your fridge, your Wi-Fi, every single thing in your home goes out. You go, damn, I need to go reset my fucking breaker. You go and reset your breaker. Doesn't really work. You go ahead and you call the power company and you find out that one of the largest storms that has fucked up the power grid is now going to put you and hundreds of thousands of other people without power for a week in the middle of summer, and there's nothing you can do about it, okay? This is happening right now in Gary, Indiana. For over about a week, these people have not had any power with absolutely zero warning, and it is not pretty. Whenever shit gets dark, shit gets scary. There are people robbing houses, robbing cars. There are people who literally cannot leave their homes and are sitting there with weapons in dark ass corners, hoping and praying nobody comes into their fucking houses. Fridges, disgusting. People with medical equipment, gone. School, literally.
Look, the CPAP machines, anything that requires electricity and is related to healthcare, bro. You cooked if them places don't have generators, man. Boy, I would hate to be in a situation where like I'm in the house and I don't have a weapon in times where it's total anarchy, bro. Like that would be the most frightening thing in the world, bro. I'm not a scary person, but bro, I feel a lot better knowing that I can defend myself because I have weapons because the bad guys got them. I would want to be a good guy with one.
Cannot be hosted. So everybody is just running around outside with nothing, no games, literally don't even have cell service. You can't even call the police if something goes wrong, okay? Some people have power, some people don't. Apparently this was a huge storm that fucked up the power grid. And all of these people are literally just in a waiting game. And that is insanely, I remember I had no power for like 2 days when I was in the summer after a tree fell on our power lines. It was torture. It was torture, and I was a kid. Whenever you're a kid, shit like that can kind of just like, you don't really notice it. I remember it sucking. Like, I can't, like this is 100-degree weather. Nothing. You don't even have cold water to drink. Like, not even a cold snack to enjoy.
Yeah.
No AC. Like, literally, I would be dying.
In this weather out here in New Orleans, if I turn my AC off right now at the crib, my house temperature would raise by 10 degrees in probably less than 30 minutes. Seriously. I pay that light bill to keep it cool in here. I don't care. I'm going to pay for the comfort. But that's how insane this heat is, man. It will literally raise it 10 degrees in a matter of 30 minutes. And people are dealing with this and they're hungry and don't know where their next meal coming from and don't know when help is coming, bro. And as far as the food goes, if you've been through a hurricane, People in Florida, Texas, Mississippi, and all that kind of stuff. If you ever been through that, bro, you know that food don't last long. You have to have a way to go and get new food, because if the food that you had when the storm hit, man, that shit gone by day 2 and 3, bro.
Snack to enjoy. No AC. Like, literally, I would be dying.
There has now been a power outage in Gary, Indiana for a week, occurring after some particularly nasty storms made their way through. National news is not reporting on it. Gary, Indiana's population is overwhelmingly black folks. Yes, 90 to 110 miles an hour winds will knock out power. I'm just making the observation that if Weston, Massachusetts, or Manchester by the Sea, Massachusetts, or, some super rich part of New York City didn't
just say white, goddamn, you ain't gotta say super rich. You know what? He's actually right. They don't care about you poor white folks either. I'm sorry. I forgot about y'all. Y'all poor people in the middle of nowhere America that are white, they don't give a shit about you either. They just make you think they do.
Have power for a week. It'd be all over the news about these poor kids, these poor people. But no, instead, the only news I've gotten about it has been on TikTok. And there's been very few videos, for the record. I've seen 2. I heard about it from Matt long before I heard about it from legacy media. And there's a reason for these things. Our media doesn't cover this for the exact same reason it doesn't cover American war crime. It is a deliberate lie by omission. If we don't talk about it, it's not happening. That's why it provided very sparse coverage of a bombing of a girls' school in Iran, even though we killed more than 150 children. It's now been months. We also tested a new kind of tungsten missile on a volleyball team.
Hey, God. If I be getting on y'all nerves, just let me know. Just bear with me. But I gotta go back to the Detroit race riot shit, bro, because I just thought about something. 34 people died in that race riot. 9 were white, 25 were black, and 17 of the 25 were killed by police. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
Girls volleyball team. U.S. media apparatus does not respond or report on these travesties because it would cause questions to be asked. Why are so many people, just for the color of their skin, not being given the human dignity that somebody who is white and has money would be? The civil rights movement was not that long ago. And it's also important to remember that the civil rights movement was not based on the nonviolence that you were brainwashed to believe it was. That nonviolent stuff will get you killed. And there's a reason why nonviolent protest now results in very little change. So this is an open call. If you or someone you love is in Gary, Indiana, please reach out to me. Send me your story. Do your best. Send me your loved ones' stories. Send me your friends' stories. So we can do what guys who make 6 figures a year won't.
Everyone's like, oh, how dark is it? How dark is it in Gary, Indiana, right? This is how dark it is.
Almost 100.
Now imagine driving down this street right here and a group of people are standing in the middle of the road with guns pointing at you. What you gonna do? Floor it? Or you gonna pull over and let them take what you got? Either way, it's a risk. That kind of stuff is happening.
1,000 people in Gary, Indiana are stuck and suffering. They've been without power for a week due to severe storms in the area. Just a month ago, the people of Gary were expressing concern about data centers' effect on their electricity. The total number of data centers in Indiana is 147. That's 23 currently operating and 120 currently being built. The state has specifically become a target for development because of its tax exemption on the electricity used by data centers, which saves each facility hundreds of millions of dollars. In October, Amazon opened a 1,200-acre, $11 billion data center in New Carlisle, Indiana. And in February, Meta broke ground on a $10 billion data center in Lebanon, Indiana. Research has
Hold on, y'all. Listen, let me explain something to y'all. This is why I believe these people are truly evil people, because right now they have the technology to put these underwater data centers in the space, but they choose not to. In China, this company called High Cloud, in conjunction with another company that's a big construction company out there, they figured out a way how to put a data center about 10 kilometers under the sea, which is about 0.6 miles deep. And then what they do is wind turbines provides the electricity. The naturally cold water from the sea cools the data center down. And there you have it. They're basically able to use enough power, save enough power, about 20 kilowatts, which is enough to power 20,000 households. They're able to combat that doing that. But what does these companies do in America? They put them near people. How does that not seem, I don't give a fuck about you? Think about that. They figured out how to do it in China. Now, I did hear that Meta tried to do it, but they failed. It didn't work. But the Chinese were able to do it. And they have plans on doing it again. It cost about $160 million to do. And it's not even going to raise the ocean temperature to the point where you could even measure the difference. I don't know. But let's just keep putting them around black people.
that the existence of these large data centers puts strain on our power grids. Gary, Indiana is serviced by local utility Northern Indiana Public Service Company, or NIPSCO. So NIPSCO is the company handling this blackout. NIPSCO also loves data centers. The utility company has proposed independent deals with data centers owned by Amazon and Alphabet, and its parent company created a utility completely dedicated to servicing data centers. Between 2023 and 2025, NIPSCO raised Gary residents' electric bills by $83. NIPSCO also accidentally doubled 3,500 customers' electric bills and then didn't report the error for a year after discovering it. And it seems as though these customers still haven't gotten full refunds.
And don't mention the fact that the data center get the tax breaks with the electricity. Some kind of way they passing that bill down to us while getting tax incentives. This is just messed up, man, on so many fronts.
Gary, Indiana has been without power for 10 days. Thousands of residents are still in the dark after a storm that happened August 11th. It brought hurricane-force-like winds through northwest Indiana. And now NIPSCO, one of Indiana's largest natural gas and electric companies, is saying that Gary residents may not have their power fully restored until Tuesday, August 25th. That's nearly 2 weeks without electricity. That means no air conditioning, no refrigeration, food going bad, phones that need charging, medical equipment that needs electricity, businesses unable to operate, people trying to care for their children, people trying to work while their homes don't have power. This is also not some like random middle of the nowhere place. This is Gary, Indiana, a majority black city where thousands of people are being asked to simply wait while basic infrastructure is restored.
And you know what else, dog? Bro, I talk so fucking much, man. I'm sorry, y'all. But listen, man, y'all got to understand something. The propaganda machine is the reason why so many people don't even give a damn about Gary, Indiana, because it is black. You can't help those people. They don't want to help themselves. They're naturally inherently dangerous. They're criminal by nature. They're bad people. They're not that smart. All they do is smoke and do drugs and harm people, and they're violent. They're lazy. They have no work ethic. They're like animals. They're beasts. This is the rhetoric that those people have heard. Therefore, are they going to jump to help people or feel empathy for somebody? Hell no, man. That's not how that go.
On top of this being a catastrophic storm where multiple people have died, which should make this even more serious, because when people lose electricity for days and potentially weeks, this is not some little inconvenience. This is a huge public health and safety issue, and it begs a huge question about discrimination considering it's Gary. Because NIPSCO released restoration estimates for communities throughout Northwest Indiana, and Gary was initially left off that list. Gary's mayor had to step in and push for more specific information about when his city's residents could expect their power back.
Man,
and they were already more than a week into an outage before they were even given a timeline that could extend until next Tuesday. NIPSCO says that the damage is so unprecedented and crews are working around the clock, restoration is complicated, etc. But also, people are allowed to still ask questions and be outraged. Why is it taking so long? Why weren't Gary residents given clearer information sooner? Why was Gary initially left out of the restoration estimates? What investments have been made in the infrastructure serving these communities?
Nothing.
And also, what happens to communities when essential infrastructure fails and the people living there don't feel like they're being prioritized? This has far surpassed just being a weather story. This is a story about systemic disenfranchisement, infrastructure inequality, public accountability, economic inequality, whose communities are expected to endure the most with the least. I read an NPR article that highlighted how residents in Gary are used to living in survival mode, which is why this likely didn't get the backlash and outrage and urgency it requires.
Yep.
This is racism point blank, period.
Yep.
We shouldn't have to prove intentional discrimination and racism before we're allowed to ask questions about whether the system serving black communities is equitable,
Yep.
especially when the U.S. has a long history of not doing so.
And you know what? The U.S. does this purposefully. You know, they don't want to teach Americans the stories of black people, because if you teach people the stories of black people, then you would have to feel sorry for them. You would have to have empathy for them. There's a reason why they wanted us to learn about Anne Frank, bro. I read that story, bro. I damn near shed a tear reading that story, because it was really an impactful story. You got to watch this girl grow up, become a woman, basically. She's talking about her feelings, her day to day, you know, while she's hiding in the attic. And then, you know, when they finally get captured and she's optimistic about what life gonna be about when she finally gets out, but you, the reader, know she don't make it. They did that on purpose, bro. They taught us that so we'll feel sorry for them people. But they ain't teach us about the stories of black people. They didn't tell us the story of a little girl who was present during the Tulsa, Oklahoma race riot and how scared she was that she might lose her life. They never taught us that. They didn't give us no diary of no black woman or slave and made us read that shit in school. That shit crazy to me. And that's why they never feel sorry for black people. They made us learn their stories. And those people control the propaganda machine. It's crazy.
People are exhausted. They're losing food. They're losing income. They're struggling with the heat, safety, transportation, keeping their families safe, and their medical needs. Multiple people have died. The people of Gary, Indiana deserve more than please be patient. They deserve answers, accountability, and for their power to be restored.
All right.
Yeah, y'all, listen, bro. If you in Indiana right now, you probably ain't even gonna be able to see this video because y'all ain't got no damn power, bro. But that's, man, look, our thoughts and prayers are definitely with y'all, bro, for real. And we hope y'all make it out. And I know me personally, I can definitely tell you for a fact, I know how you feel. I've been through that type of experience before. I know. I can't speak for everybody else, but me personally, I know what it's like to be in the dark and afraid and hope somebody don't run up in your house to steal things that they think you may have and you ain't got nothing. You doing just as bad as them. I know what that feel like. Boy, that's wild, man. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day, bro.